The message arrived on a quiet Tuesday morning, its alien symbols flickering across every screen in Earth's Defense Command Center. Commander James Walker stood before the main display, his weathered face reflecting the blue glow of the alien text. 50 years of silence from the Galactic Council had ended with 3 simple words: "Your presence required." "They're not even trying to be polite," muttered Tom Baker, the center's lead communications officer. His fingers danced across the holographic keyboard, translating the rest of the message. "They're giving us 3 Earth days to appear before the Council." Walker crossed his arms, the silver stripes on his uniform catching the light. Earth had known this day would come, the day when the greater galactic community would finally take notice of humanity's expanding presence among the stars. But they had hoped for more time. "Display the full message," Walker ordered, his deep voice steady despite the tension in the room. The alien text expanded, filling the massive screen. "To the governing body of Sol 3, Earth, your presence is required before the Galactic Council. Recent monitoring indicates unauthorized expansion beyond your designated development zone. As a Class C civilization, your species must undergo proper evaluation before further colonization is permitted. Failure to appear will result in immediate sanctions." Coordinates attached. Office of the Grand Speaker. Galactic Council, Session 47,392. Walker allowed himself a small smile. The Council's patronizing tone was exactly what Earth's military leadership had predicted. For 50 years, humanity had played the part of the struggling young species, carefully maintaining the image of a civilization barely capable of reaching nearby stars. In reality, Earth had colonies twice as far as the Council knew about, hidden behind sophisticated cloaking technology. The public colonies, the ones the Council could see, were deliberately designed to appear less advanced than they actually were. "Send word to General Stone," Walker said, turning to face the room full of officers. "Tell him it's time for Operation Mirror." The response was immediate. Officers rushed to their stations, knowing their roles in the carefully crafted plan. Earth had rehearsed this moment for decades, waiting for the Council to finally notice them. In his private office, Walker activated his secure terminal. A holographic display sprang to life, showing a rotating image of the Mark IOE battle armor. The suit was humanity's masterpiece, a perfect fusion of technology and human ingenuity that the galaxy believed impossible for a primitive species to create. The door chimed, and Colonel Mary Richards entered, carrying a datapad. "The diplomatic vessel is being prepared, sir. Basic tech only, just like we planned. They'll be expecting us to arrive in something that barely holds together." Walker nodded. "And the real cargo?" "The Mark II components are being loaded into shielded containers as we speak. As far as their scans will show, we're bringing nothing more dangerous than a dress uniform and some basic protective gear." "Perfect." Walker turned back to the window, looking out at the sprawling military complex. In the distance, workers were loading seemingly simple cargo containers onto the diplomatic vessel. The Council would scan them, of course, but they would find nothing unusual. The quantum-shielded components of the Mark II armor were invisible to any known detection method. "Send the confirmation," Walker ordered. "Tell them Earth humbly accepts their summons and will arrive within their deadline." As the message was sent, Walker thought about the coming days. The Council was about to learn that judging a species by their apparent level of technology was a dangerous mistake. Humanity had spent 50 years preparing for this moment, and the galaxy was about to witness what happened when you underestimated human ingenuity. "Sir," Richard said from the doorway, "General Stone wants you to know that all Mark II systems are green. The suit is ready." Walker nodded. "Then so are we. Let's go show the galaxy what humanity can really do." The diplomatic vessel would launch in 6 hours. In 3 days, the Galactic Council would learn that their Class C civilization had been keeping secrets. Big ones. And Walker would be there to see their faces when they realized just how wrong they'd been about humanity. The diplomatic vessel emerged from its final jump point, revealing the massive Galactic Council station. The structure was a marvel of alien engineering. A spinning ring 20 kilometers wide, with spires that stretched up and down like silver needles piercing space itself. Walker stood at the bridge viewport, intentionally wearing an outdated uniform that would make him look less advanced. Around him, the bridge crew maintained their act of struggling with primitive systems, making their ship's approach seem less graceful than it truly was. "Look at those ships," said Tom, pointing at the massive vessels docked around the station. The Crusader warships were dark and angular, bristling with weapons. The Architect vessels seemed to be made of flowing liquid metal. Compared to them, the Earth ship looked like a child's toy. "Incoming transmission," reported the communications officer. They're telling us to dock at the auxiliary port. That's where they park maintenance vessels and cargo ships." Walker smiled. Everything was going according to plan. Except their instructions. "Remember, we're just simple humans who are grateful to be here at all." Their ship docked with an intentionally loud clunk. Walker led his small team through the airlock, carrying their simple diplomatic cases. Behind them, dock workers began unloading the shielded containers, paying them little attention. The greeting party consisted of 2 junior council officials, a clear insult that Walker pretended not to notice. The first official was tall and blue-skinned, with multiple arms that moved in flowing patterns. The second looked like a floating crystal with pulsing lights inside. "Welcome to the council station," the blue-skinned official said, their translator making the words sound flat. "I am third assistant coordinator. You will follow." Walker and his team were led through massive corridors filled with representatives from hundreds of alien species. Most ignored the humans completely. Some pointed and whispered, clearly amused by their simple appearance. They passed a group of Crusaders, 3-meter-tall warriors in powered armor that they clearly thought was impressive. Walker had to hide his amusement, knowing that the Mark II sitting in pieces in their cargo containers could run circles around that outdated technology. The council chamber itself was enormous, with rising tiers of seats stretching up into the darkness. Various alien species filled the seats, their quiet conversations creating a constant background hum. The humans were directed to stand in the speaking circle at the center, the lowest point in the room, forcing them to look up at everyone else. The Grand Speaker, a being made of shifting shadows and light, materialized in their elevated position. The Council recognizes the representatives of Sol 3, designation, Earth. You have been summoned to address concerns about your unauthorized expansion. Walker stepped forward, playing his role perfectly. "We are honored to be here, Grand Speaker. We hope to understand how we have caused concern." A Crusader representative stood, their voice booming. "Your species has been detected establishing colonies beyond your approved zones. You lack the technological advancement to safely maintain such colonies. This risks destabilizing established territories." More voices joined in, each more condescending than the last. The architects questioned humanity's ability to handle basic space travel. The Trade Coalition suggested restricting human ships to their home system for their own safety. Walker stood quietly, accepting their criticism with apparent humility. His hand brushed against the small control panel hidden in his sleeve, the remote link to the Mark II armor being assembled in secret by nanoconstructors inside the cargo containers. "Perhaps," the Crusader representative said, "a demonstration is in order. To prove our concerns are valid. A simple combat trial, as tradition allows, unless the humans wish to withdraw their colonial claims." This was the moment they had waited for. Walker stepped forward again, his voice carefully measured. Earth would be honored to participate in a combat trial. The chamber erupted in murmurs. The Crusader representative laughed, a harsh, grating sound. "You accept? Very well. Our champion will face your best warrior. Standard combat protocols. The trial begins in 6 hours." As the council members filed out, already discussing how quickly the humans would lose, Walker sent a coded signal to his team. In 6 hours, the galaxy would learn what humanity had been hiding all these years, and the Mark II armor would rewrite everyone's understanding of what humans were capable of. In the preparation chamber assigned to the humans, Walker watched his team work with careful precision. Their movements seemed clumsy and awkward to any watching cameras, but every fumbled motion and drop tool was perfectly calculated. "The Crusader champion has been announced," Tom said, entering the chamber with a datapad. "They've chosen War Master Rex. He's their best fighter, undefeated in 43 trials." Walker walked to a viewing window that overlooked the combat arena. The space was enormous, easily a kilometer across, with various terrain types scattered throughout. In the center, a massive Crusader warrior was demonstrating his power armor's capabilities to an appreciative crowd. War Master Rex stood 4 meters tall in his battle suit, the dark metal gleaming under the arena lights. With each movement, the ground shook. His demonstration included crushing solid metal pillars and firing weapons that left smoking craters in reinforced walls. "They're putting on quite a show," said Mary Richards, now dressed as Walker's assistant rather than her true rank of colonel. "The betting pools are heavily against us. Current odds are 1,000 to 1 in favor of the Crusader." Walker allowed himself a small smile. "Have our people placed their bets?" "Yes, sir." Quietly, through various channels. "If we win, Earth's military budget will triple just from the winnings." The chamber door opened, and a council official floated in, its crystalline body pulsing with what seemed like concern. "Human representative, there is still time to withdraw. The council would understand, given the obvious disparity in capabilities." "Thank you for your concern," Walker replied politely. "But Earth will proceed with the trial." After the official left, Walker's team moved faster. They opened the special containers, still shielded from all scanning technology. The Mark II armor lay in pieces, each component looking deceptively simple. "Assembly status?" Walker asked. "Nanoconstructors are at 80%, Mary reported. "The quantum core is stable. Biomural links are green. We're right on schedule." Above them, in the viewing galleries, thousands of alien spectators gathered. Most had come to see the humans humiliated. The Crusaders had even set up massive screens to broadcast their champion's expected victory across the station. A deep horn sounded, the 15-minute warning. Walker began his preparation ritual, connecting the neural interface points behind his ears. Each click was precisely practiced, performed exactly as they had trained for this moment. "Sir," Tom said, checking his readings. "The Crusaders are broadcasting War Master Rex's armor specifications. They want everyone to see exactly what we're up against." He projected the data into the air. 30-centimeter thick armor plating. Plasma weapons rated at 12 gigajoules. Strength amplification of 500 times. "They're not holding anything back." "Good," Walker replied. "Let them show off. It will make this more interesting." The final pieces of the Mark II were coming together. To any observers, it looked like the humans were struggling to assemble basic protective gear. The true assembly was happening at the microscopic level, invisible even to the most advanced sensors. 5 minutes before the trial, a delegation of Crusader officials entered the chamber. Their massive forms barely fit through the door. "We have come to verify your combat readiness," their leader announced. Though it seems, they looked at the apparently scattered pieces of armor with obvious disdain. "Unnecessary." "Of course," Walker said. "Please, inspect our equipment." The Crusaders scanned everything with their most advanced tools. They found exactly what Earth wanted them to find. Seemingly basic armor components that posed no threat to their champion. As they left, one Crusader turned back. "Your courage is admirable, human. Your death will be quick and honorable." The final horn sounded. Walker stepped onto the platform that would lift him into the arena. The Mark II armor, now fully assembled but appearing far less impressive than it truly was, sealed around him with deliberate slowness. "All systems check complete," Mary reported. "Biomural link established." Quantum core nominal. Phase shifters ready. Good hunting, sir. The platform began to rise. Above, Walker could hear the roar of the crowd, eager to see the primitive humans put in their place. They were about to get a very different show. The arena fell silent as Walker's platform rose into view. Even the most disinterested council members leaned forward, curious to see what pathetic defense the humans would attempt against War Master Rex's mighty armor. At first glance, Walker's Mark II armor looked disappointingly simple, just dark gray plates with minimal ornamentation. It stood only 2 meters tall, barely half the size of the Crusader champion's suit. Scattered laughter echoed through the arena. "This is what Earth sends to face me." War Master Rex's voice boomed across the space, a basic environment suit. Walker stood motionless in the center of his platform. Inside the Mark II, he watched as the final activation sequences completed. The quantum core hummed to life, its power invisible to all scanning systems. Microscopic machines flowed through the suit's internal layers, preparing for what was to come. "Begin systems revelation," Walker said quietly. The transformation started slowly. The Mark II's outer layer began to shift, the dull gray metal flowing like liquid. Panels that had seemed solid split apart, revealing pulsing blue energy channels beneath. The armor grew slightly, expanding as hidden systems came online. In the council chambers, the initial amusement turned to confusion. The architect's sensors were going crazy, detecting energy patterns they'd never seen before. The Crusaders' scanning systems simply stopped working, unable to process what they were seeing. "What trickery is this?" War Master Rex demanded, taking a step back. The Mark II's true form was emerging. The simple plates were now an intricate mesh of nanomaterials that shifted and flowed like living metal. Points of light appeared across its surface, quantum field generators that had been completely hidden moments before. "Impossible," shouted one of the architect representatives. "Their technology level. This cannot be." Walker raised his arms, and the armor responded with fluid grace. Energy fields became visible around the suit, layers of protection far beyond anything the council races had achieved. The quantum core reached full power, its unique signature now impossible to hide. In the preparation chamber below, Mary and Tom watched their monitors with satisfaction. The Mark II was performing exactly as designed, its reveal choreographed to create maximum impact. "Human." War Master Rex's voice carried a new edge of uncertainty. "Explain this deception. This technology is beyond your civilization's capabilities." Walker finally spoke, his voice carried clearly across the arena. "You assumed it was beyond our capabilities. That was your mistake." The Mark II's final systems came online. The air around the suit shimmered as reality itself seemed to bend. The quantum fields were now strong enough to distort spacetime in ways that the Council had deemed theoretically impossible. In the highest tier of the chamber, the Grand Speaker stood. "This trial is suspended. We demand an explanation for this level of technological deception." "With respect, Grand Speaker," Walker replied, his voice calm. "The trial has already begun." War Master Rex issued his challenge, and we accepted. Council law is clear on this point. The Crusader champion looked to his leaders for guidance, but they could only watch in stunned silence. Their sensors couldn't even properly scan the Mark II anymore. Its quantum fields disrupted any attempts to analyze it. "How long?" asked a Trade Coalition member, their voice shaking. "How long have you possessed this level of technology?" Walker smiled inside his helmet. "Long enough to know we couldn't trust the Council to treat us as equals if you knew what we were capable of. So we waited. We watched. We learned." The Mark II systems were now fully operational. Its capabilities, phase shifting, quantum tunneling, AI integration, and more, were far beyond anything the Council races had achieved. Humanity's greatest secret was finally revealed. "Now then," Walker said, dropping into a combat stance that made the Mark II's outer layer ripple like water. "Shall we begin this trial? Or does the Crusader champion wish to withdraw?" War Master Rex's answer was a roar of defiance as he charged forward, his pride overriding his obvious concerns. The real demonstration was about to begin. War Master Rex's charge was impressive. His massive armor covered 50 meters in barely a second, powered by engines that could lift a small ship. His right arm transformed into a plasma cannon, while his left became a blade of crystallized energy. The ground shook with each step. Walker didn't move. Just before Rex's blade would have struck, the Mark II armor shifted, not by dodging or jumping, but by letting the blade pass through it completely. The quantum phase generators had turned Walker partially out of normal spacetime, making him as intangible as a ghost. Impossible. Rex spun around, his momentum carrying him past his target. No armor can phase shift that quickly. Walker's response was to demonstrate exactly how wrong that assumption was. The Mark II moved with liquid grace, each motion smooth and precise. Where Rex's armor stomped and crashed, the Mark II seemed to flow like water. In the council chambers above, the alien representatives watched in stunned silence. The architect's sensors were recording everything, trying to understand how the human armor was breaking half their known laws of physics. Rex fired his plasma cannon, filling the air with superheated energy bolts. The Mark II's outer layer rippled, and suddenly there were 3 walkers, each moving in different directions. Quantum duplicates, created by splitting probability fields. Another technology the Council had deemed impossible. Which one is real? Rex roared, firing at all 3 targets. That's the wrong question. Walker's voice came from behind him. The Mark II had quantum tunneled through space, appearing inside Rex's guard. The real question is, why are you still using such basic weapons? The Mark II's hand touched Rex's armor. Microscopic machines flowed from Walker's suit into the Crusader's systems. In seconds, half of Rex's weapon systems went dark. What have you done? The massive warrior tried to engage his emergency protocols, but nothing responded. Nanoscale override, Walker explained, his voice calm. Your armor's security is primitive by our standards. The council chamber erupted in chaos. Some representatives were demanding the trial be stopped. Others were frantically trying to understand how humans had developed technology that should have been centuries beyond them. Rex, driven by desperation and pride, activated his armor's most powerful weapon, a gravity pulse designed to crush anything within 10 meters. The blast would have flattened a small building. The Mark II didn't try to dodge. Instead, it absorbed the gravitational energy, its quantum field spinning the force into its own power systems. Walker's armor actually glowed brighter. Thank you for the power boost, Walker said. Would you like to see what our armor can really do? The Mark II systems went to full power. The air itself seemed to bend around Walker as quantum fields warped reality. He moved faster than Rex's sensors could track, each step leaving afterimages in probability space. Rex swung wildly, but he might as well have been trying to fight smoke. The Mark II flowed around every attack, its responses so fast they seemed to happen before Rex even moved. Stop, Rex finally shouted. I yield. The chamber fell silent. A Crusader champion yielding was unprecedented. Walker powered down his systems, the Mark II returning to its deceptively simple appearance. Yield accepted, Walker said formally. The Grand Speaker's voice echoed through the arena. The trial is concluded. The human victory is recorded. There was a pause. Representative Walker, the Council requests. No, the Council begs your presence for an emergency session. Walker looked up at the gathered representatives, knowing that everything had changed. Humanity's mask of primitive technology had been stripped away, revealing the true face of Earth's capabilities. Of course, Grand Speaker. Though first, he turned to Rex, who was still trying to get his armor systems back online. Would you like help with your suit? Our nanomachines can repair any damage they caused. Rex's response was a grudging nod, his pride clearly wounded but his warrior's respect earned. The age of humanity hiding its true power was over. Now came the interesting part, dealing with a galaxy that suddenly realized they had severely underestimated Earth. The emergency council session started in chaos. Representatives from 200 species all tried to speak at once, their voices creating a storm of noise in the grand chamber. Walker stood in the center, the Mark II armor still active but powered down to its basic state. Order. The Grand Speaker's voice cut through the noise. We will have order. The room gradually fell silent, though the tension remained thick in the air. The architect representatives had their sensors still trained on Walker's armor, trying desperately to understand its technology. The Crusader section was unusually quiet, their earlier arrogance replaced by cautious respect. Human Representative Walker, the Grand Speaker began, their voice carrying a new note of careful diplomacy. You have deceived this council. No, Walker replied calmly. We simply didn't share all our capabilities. There's a difference. An architect floated forward, its crystalline form pulsing with agitation. Your phase shift technology alone is centuries ahead of our projections. The quantum field manipulation we witnessed should be impossible for a Class C civilization. Perhaps, Walker suggested, your classification system needs updating. In the gallery above, Mary and Tom watched with satisfaction as their years of planning unfolded. Earth's deception had been perfect, showing just enough advancement to join the galactic community, but hiding their true capabilities until the right moment. The Trade Coalition representative spoke next, their mechanical translator struggling to hide their anxiety. The human economy, their resource usage, nothing suggested this level of technology. How did you hide it all? Walker smiled inside his helmet. Did you ever wonder why Earth accepted such unfair trade deals? Why we seemed content with outdated technology? We wanted you to underestimate us. It worked perfectly. But why? A younger Crusader stood, different from their usual representatives. Why hide your strength? You could have demanded respect from the beginning. Could we? Walker turned to face them all. When we first detected your civilizations, we also detected how you treated emerging species. Those you saw as threats were contained, restricted, or worse. Those you dismissed as primitive were left alone. Understanding began to dawn on the council members' faces. So we played our role. Walker continued. The struggling young species, barely able to reach nearby stars. We traded our abundant resources for your outdated tech, all while developing in secret. We learned your weaknesses, your blind spots, your assumptions. The Mark II armor shifted slightly, reminding everyone of its demonstrated power. Several representatives flinched at the movement. Your arrogance made it easy, Walker explained. You saw what you expected to see, a primitive species struggling to join the galactic community. You never wondered why we accepted your restrictions so easily. Why we never complained about being classified as Class C. The Grand Speaker's form rippled with what might have been admission. And now, what are Earth's demands? Demands. Walker shook his head. We don't make demands. We offer a fresh start. Equal treatment, fair trade, and honest diplomacy. Times are changing. The galaxy is becoming more dangerous. You might need our help sooner than you think. A murmur ran through the chamber. The idea that the council might need human help would have been laughable yesterday. Now, seeing what human technology could do, it didn't seem so impossible. And if we refuse? One of the militant species asked. Walker's reply was calm but firm. Then we continue as we have been. Developing, growing, advancing. But this time, you'll know what we're capable of. Is that what you want? The council chamber fell silent as the implications sank in. If this was what humanity had hidden from them, what else might Earth be capable of? The Grand Speaker raised their ceremonial staff. I call for an immediate vote on reclassifying Earth's status and opening new diplomatic channels. As the council members began voting, Walker stood quietly in his armor. The Mark II had served its purpose, not just as a weapon, but as a message. Humanity would no longer be overlooked or underestimated. The real work was about to begin. 1 month after the Mark II demonstration, the Council Station buzzed with a different kind of energy. Workers rushed to prepare the newly constructed human embassy, a facility that would have been unthinkable just weeks ago. The location was prime, right between the Architect and Crusader sections, at the heart of the station's diplomatic quarter. Walker stood at the embassy's main window, watching ships move through space. He had traded the Mark II armor for a formal Earth military uniform, though everyone knew the armor was just a thought away if needed. "Latest intelligence report, sir," Mary said, entering the office. "3 major species have completely restructured their military research programs. They're desperately trying to catch up to our technology level. And failing, I assume." Walker turned from the window. "Completely. They still don't understand how we managed to create working quantum field generators at our supposed technology level." Tom joined them, carrying a data pad filled with diplomatic requests. "The trade coalition is getting nervous. They've offered to renegotiate all previous contracts at fair market value. Apparently, they're worried we might have other surprises hidden away." "They're right to worry," Walker smiled. "The Mark II was just the beginning. Have they seen our new ships yet?" "No, sir. The stealth fleet is still hidden. Though," Tom checked his pad, "the Architect's long-range sensors picked up some unusual readings near the Omega sector last week. They're pretending they didn't see anything." Through the window, they watched as a Crusader diplomatic vessel docked. War Master Rex had become Earth's strongest supporter in the Council, after Walker shared some basic maintenance upgrades for his armor. The proud warrior race had discovered that humans made better allies than enemies. "Status report on the new Council chamber," Walker asked. "Construction is ahead of schedule," Mary replied. "Earth's permanent seat will be ready for next month's session. The other species are still adjusting to the idea of a former Class C civilization having equal voting rights." Walker nodded. The past month had transformed humanity's position in the galaxy. The revelation of the Mark II armor had forced the Council to confront their own prejudices and assumptions. Many were still struggling with the reality that humans had outpaced them technologically while pretending to be primitive. "Sir," Tom said, checking another report, "the education exchange programs are extremely popular. We've received 10,000 applications for the first 100 spots at Earth universities. Everyone wants to understand how we did it," Walker mused. "How we developed so quickly without anyone noticing. They still don't realize that working in secret, away from their restrictions and assumptions, was exactly what let us advance so fast." A soft chime announced another visitor. The door opened to reveal an Architect representative, their crystalline form glowing with formal colors. "Commander Walker," the Architect's translator hummed, "the Council requests your presence. We've detected unusual energy signatures at the galaxy's edge. Something we don't understand. We need human insight." Walker exchanged looks with his team. They had known this moment would come, when the older species would need to rely on human innovation and technology. It was why they had revealed the Mark II in the first place. "Tell the Council I'll be there shortly," Walker replied. After the Architect left, Mary spoke quietly. "Should we tell them about the deep space sensors we placed out there last year? The ones that have been tracking these energy signatures for months?" "Not yet," Walker said, straightening his uniform. "Let them ask for help first. Let them learn to trust us as equals." As Walker walked to the Council chamber, other representatives moved respectfully out of his way. The Mark II demonstration had earned humanity more than just political power. It had earned them respect. The old species had learned that looking primitive didn't mean being primitive. In his office back on Earth, General Stone watched the diplomatic feeds with satisfaction. Phase 1, revealing their true capabilities, had succeeded perfectly. Now Phase 2 could begin, leading the galaxy into a new age of advancement and cooperation. Humanity had kept their secrets long enough. Now it was time to show the galaxy what people could really do when they worked together as equals. The future was looking very interesting indeed.